Hi, welcome back. Now we're going to take the character that we just made in Photoshop and bring it into Character Animator to give it some life. The first thing that we need to do is to create a new project. So go under File, New Project. Find where you want to save your project folder and give it a name. And then hit Save. Once your project's created, we can go ahead and import our puppet. So again, go under File, Import, and find the PSD file to import. We'll see the puppet appear under our project panel. All we need to do is to click and drag on the puppet to drag it to the timeline, and a new scene is automatically created. Now we could either add a background image to this scene for our puppet, or we can leave it as is for further work in Adobe After Effects. As you can see, my voice is already being picked up for animation for my puppet, but I want to go over a few other elements before we get started. Under Character Animator, Preferences, we want to make sure that our default input and output is set, otherwise it won't record our audio. In the camera and microphone panel, we'll see that the camera is already picked up, as well as the microphone. You can turn on and off your camera and your microphone simply by clicking the icons. You also see in the webcam preview there are these red dots for the motion tracking. Once you are positioned properly in front of your webcam, go ahead and hit the Set Rest Pose button, and it'll reset your character's position and size. Now there may be times where you bring your puppet in and he's either too small or too large. You can change factors like position, size, etc. under Properties. So if you look under Transform, you can see all these options that we can change. I'm going to scale them down just a little bit. These red dots indicate that these property values are armed ready for recording. If I only wanted to record the face and body movement but not the lip syncing, I could turn this off, and you can see that I can record my shape and my motion, but my audio is not being tracked and recorded. So if anything's not being recorded, just double check here that all these are armed, ready to go. One thing that we're going to want to check before we start recording is the scene properties. So go ahead and click off your puppet in the timeline, and then click the scene under the project panel. Now under Properties, we see frame rate, duration, width, and height. You're going to want to make sure that your frame rate is set to something you're going to work with in After Effects, either 24 or 30 frames per second. You can also change the duration for your puppet animation, as well as the width and height. If you're working in After Effects after this, the width and height is not as important, as this black background, since there's no image, will be transparent, so we can resize this to fit any composition within After Effects. You may notice that our puppet's not responding to the webcam or microphone inputs. This is because the puppet's not selected in the timeline. Simply click on the puppet in the timeline, and your puppet will respond to webcam or microphone inputs. So we're just about ready to get started, so I want to go over a couple other things. If you've properly set up your mouse track left and right in Photoshop, you'll be able to click on the hands and move them, keeping in mind that you don't want to move it too much or it will result in some distorted motion. Also, if you set up the blink layers properly in Photoshop, when you blink, your character will blink as well. So I think we're ready to get going. Just before you start recording, make sure you're properly in front of the web camera and hit Set Rest Pose. And start recording by clicking the record button down here. Let's do a sample. Hello, my name is Frank, and I'm here to talk to you about Adobe Character Animator. When you're done recording, all you gotta do is hit the stop button. You'll see a couple of things appear in your timeline. One you'll see is your audio track. You also, if you expand the puppet layer, you'll see face camera inputs as well as the lip sync audio inputs. You'll notice our first attempt is called Take 1 in the timeline. I can click on that and drag it anywhere I want, or I can record a second take. Hello, this is Take 2, my name is Frank. When I hit stop, I'll see Take 2 appear in the timeline. I can go ahead and move that anywhere I want, or I can delete that if I don't need that. This way you can build up your character animation through a number of takes to get the final output. When you're done, you can go into part 3, where we'll go ahead and import this into Adobe After Effects for our final composition. See you in part 3.